Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Lexit War Room. We have a special guest. We have Brother Mario here from Lexit, the freedom fighter, the one and only. And our special guest today, bro, we're privileged to have this guy, Mike Snyder, LA County Detective. And we want to dig into a lot of things. It's going to get good, you guys. We're just going to get started. So, brother, tell us who you are, where you came from, and why you're here to speak today.
How you doing, everybody? It's an honor to be on the show. Thanks for having me. My name is Mike Snyder. Been in law enforcement for about 12 years and a little over 12 years. And first and foremost, these opinions that I'm going to talk about today are mine and mine only. They're not any representative of my department. However, like I said, I've been in for 12 years, and I'm assuming I'm here because of that video that's floating around of Mr. Gascon confronting the family members of victims in outside the Pomona courthouse. So,
and that video went pretty viral.
yeah, went pretty viral. The reason I was there, honestly, was just I was there to I just want to ask him some questions as a citizen, an employee of the county. Family members that live in the county. I just wanted to ask him some questions. And, some of those questions, I mean, obviously, it's not a secret. He's decriminalizing a lot of this stuff, but just what his plan is, what's the plan for all of these eliminations of enhancements and quality of life and what he's doing and what his plan is, with the mental health and all that stuff. One of the questions I did ask him was, is he going to meet with victims and their families the way he likes to meet with the criminals' families?
Right. Yeah.
If we're still allowed to call them criminals. I wanted to ask him why he's not going to enforce the law. And that's on the books. That's the California Penal Code. That's on the books. He doesn't get to, decide. So that quickly turned into him walking past a victim's family member of a victim who was brutally murdered. And I wish once she started talking to him, I wish that the district attorney had the same self-awareness that I had to just cut it off and not really start, not question, because you could feel and hear her pain of, trying to ask him why he's doing all of these things. I recognized pretty quickly that my questions were no longer relevant to the questions that she had because of her talking about her son being murdered, tortured. And then the response from him, I mean, you can hear me in the video. I was just kind of shocked. So I just continued to film. And, as he's walking away, it was just, he didn't even acknowledge these family members, these victims. And that kind of sat with me. It didn't sit well with me. I was a little bothered by it. And then you hear the one mother of the son that was tortured. She says, I'm begging you, and he just continued to walk. And I don't know if he was caught off guard or if that's his true nature and who he is and how he feels about victims, but it wasn't a good look for him. And so I put that video out to who needed to see it because that's what I felt was right.
What type of feedback have you been getting from that video, man?
Been a lot of positivity. There's a lot of people in that I work with, and I'm not gonna, because of his past of bullying and stuff that I've heard. Just I'm not gonna put any of them out there. Like I said, I was there out in public. I was a citizen at the time, and I had every right to be there, and I had every right to film. I get filmed in my duties, and I don't have a problem with that. So with that said, I've been getting some feedback. Some people are telling me I'm a little crazy, but for the most part, the majority of people are like, "Thank you for doing that." And again, this isn't, there was some offers. There was people that were seeking me out as well as those family members out to go on different news channels and stuff like that. And that's not for me. That's not what I was for. I'm not. It's the victims, and that's what it's about. And when these bigger, news agencies were kind of sniffing around, I just told them, I said, go talk to the victims' families. They're the ones, the voices that matter, not mine. Right. I just filmed it. You know, the reason I'm here today is because you guys have a credible platform that, you know, there's things that need to be said outside of just that video, you know,
Right.
and this platform that you guys have created is an excellent, you know, place for us to talk about some of the things that George Gascon's doing to the LA County community, or LA County, and how it can affect the surrounding counties.
Yeah, absolutely,
Riverside,
man.
Orange, San Bernardino, all of them.
Absolutely, bro. Well, first off, I want to tell you on behalf of Lexit, man, that you know that we as Latinos, we support and back the blue 100%. And we're here to just share the truth, man. None of us get paid for this. This is a passion project 100% because we all have children and we want to do right. And so my hat's off to you, bro, because you know what? You're in a different circumstance than even we are. You go out there and you risk your life every single day. And because of that, you know, you have excess, you know, focus on you, and you're still standing up. And so that says a lot, man, because I know there's a lot of other people who feel the same way as you. They don't have enough, you know what, to stand up and to speak, man. So appreciate you a lot, man.
I appreciate that.
Let's get into it, man. So listen, we know that he's disbanded the hardcore gang unit. So I think a lot of people tune into Lexit because they want to find out, hey, what does all this mean? I'm just an average dude. I'm a regular guy, you know? What does this mean to me? So what does disbanding the hardcore gang unit mean to just regular citizens?
So basically, it's his plan to disband the hardcore gang unit. It's made up of approximately 40 prosecutors. They primarily handle, you know, gang murders investigations with gang members. The plan is to transfer those prosecutors to it's called the Conviction Review Unit. With that said, those are all cases that have already been litigated, and he's trying to ensure that no one has been wrongfully convicted. So hundreds, if not thousands, of cases are now going to be reassigned, and potentially these other gang, you know, murders they're going to be handled by prosecutors that would have less experience. These cases need to be handled by more experienced prosecutors. And you know, when you have just in LA City alone 330 murders as of today, approximately 330 homicides. I mean, you can't help but think where the majority of those murders are coming from, or homicides are coming from. Excuse me. So
wow,
that's kind of it in a nutshell. I tried to, you know, cliff note it for you, but that's pretty much that in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think what's crazy about that is most people don't realize that within each police department there's special units, and they're like, one is like a wall to the next, right? So if one goes down, it's like the dam breaks, and then it impacts other areas, you know. And so as I've been learning a lot more, man, like the hardcore gang unit, it holds back a lot of things, man. It definitely, it even touches like trafficking and human trafficking and things of that nature, because now that you're, and the thing that we need to realize is that these guys aren't stupid. They're smart, right? You know, they understand how to wiggle within the, you know, the cracks of the system. And now they've just been given a huge green light, and they're going to exploit it because that's what they do.
So it's funny, real quick, you say that about the prostitution thing. These orders from Gascon came out the 8th, I believe, of December. It wasn't a day before a certain individual that I'm looking at that I know is involved in pimping and prostitute on his social media page posted the picture of George Gascon's will not prosecute prostitution. He posted it. And then, you know how it goes with Instagram. You can go down that rabbit hole of friends, and all of his friends are posting the same pic. They know, and it's coming to LA County. And what are you going to do? You know, he broadcasted it. They're broadcasting it, and it's coming.
So essentially, he talked about just doing away from prosecuting people for prostitution, right?
Yeah, there's an exemption if they're arrested within 24 months, then there's certain exemptions for certain quality of life crimes. But when it comes to substance abuse, trespassing, those types of things, there are no exemptions. The trespassing, I believe there is one. Don't quote me on that. But as far as like drunken public, under the influence of a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance, there's no prosecution whatsoever. So from a law enforcement standpoint is we got to think our platform here. What are we doing? Why are we going out and dealing with these people and potentially putting ourselves in harm's way, getting in a situation that is going to look horrible if we have to deal with it when we know that there's no, justice on the backside? We're still going to do our jobs, but it comes to a point where like, why are we continuing to arrest the same dude or female? And they just go out. It's a revolving door. And he claims it's mental health. He claims they need programs and treatment, which I agree with to a point. I 100% agree with that. But when you talk to them out on the streets and them being some of these users, the majority of them, they laugh about it. They're like, I'm not going to treatment. I'm not going to this. You can offer it to me, but that's why these warrants pop up, because they don't go to their treatment and then they get a warrant issued for them. And it's just it's a constant, circle of in and out of the system. And they most of them admit it. They're not going to go back to, and I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be something else other than not prosecuting them. You can't just not do it. There's got to be something else.
Yeah. Hey, right up, bro.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Real quick to that, before my question, I really feel like the second phase of this COVID thing was to defund the police, man. I really feel that with the whole stay at home from 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock. I really thought about that, and I said, why? Because they know that if they could bring these numbers down the next year around, you know how that goes. The money, well, look at it. We didn't have a lot of people out drunk driving. We didn't have a lot of people committing crimes. We have this. Let's drop the money down, take from the police. So you know what? We need to keep these programs up. It's important.
A big thing with that too is when you say that the numbers are down, you got to factor in that a lot of the numbers are down too because the morale in law enforcement's down. When we're seeing that there's no end game, there's no justice for these victims, people lose faith, they lose morale. They still go and they show up to do their job, but they don't do their job. Do you know what I mean? And I don't say that in disrespectful to my brothers and sisters in law enforcement. I'm just saying that it's been going on for quite a bit of time now, ever since Prop 47 jumped in and 57, and you're just kind of like, what's the purpose here? And you show up, you do your job just because you're always there for the victims, but it's getting demoralizing. And I'm speaking for law enforcement across the board on that one.
Exactly, bro. So speaking of Prop 47, tell us about this. I know it was co-authored by Gascon. Tell us a little bit about Prop 47.
So Prop 47 was co-authored by Mr. Gascon, and over the last 8 years, we had District Attorney Jackie Lacey, who I thought did a fantastic job. He's alleging that the crimes increased over 30% over the past 8 years. But what he's failing to mention is that, basically, okay, so the Prop 47 is the Safe Neighbors and Schools Act. The theft and narcotic offenses, they took from being felonies to misdemeanors, okay? So there was never any real consequences. People are in and out of county jail. They rarely show up for their treatment programs, and like I said earlier, cops just kind of they look the other way on some things, or they the whole put the pipe under the boot, or you want me to get rid of this for you, whatever they find. So a lot of that crime that he's claiming increased, it actually didn't, and it was I relate Prop 47 to the broken windows theory, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. I heard Heather McDonald, who wrote a book called War on Cops, great book. She first brought that attention to that phrase to me, and it stuck with me. And it's the theory that when there's visible signs of crime, antisocial behavior, and civil disorder, that creates an environment that not only invites, but it encourages and welcomes more serious crimes. So when you stop, issuing citations for vandalism or pushing the issue on vandalism or all these what you call small town crimes, that invites the more serious crimes to come in. And if you look at San Francisco, that's exactly what happened. And who was in San Francisco?
Gascon.
Yeah. So when you talk about that, and another thing is and when I say they, it's the supporters of Gascon. They like to sit on this theory of, well, it's not happening right now. They want everything in the moment, and they don't look big picture. They don't look at over time how things affect society. San Francisco just didn't start off like San Francisco. It was a beautiful town at one point, and now look at it. You know, it takes time for these to happen. And unless we start speaking out now about what he's doing, that's what LA County is going to look like. I mean, it kind of already it does in certain areas.
Crazy.
But, so.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was driving down the 101 a couple of weeks ago when we were flying out to DC. We flew out of Burbank. I was blown away, man. I could not believe the level of homelessness is unreal. And then I think about them saying that Los Angeles or California is the example of the nation. Are you serious right now? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
The amount of homeless crime. I mean, just if we performed that bad at our jobs, we'd be fired years ago. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
So he one of the other things that he put on the chop block is the 3 strikes law. Okay. So I know a lot of people know what 3 strikes is, but how does this impact us in the community?
Okay, so an example of 3 strikes would be if you commit a serious offense, it's a strike. You get your second strike, you know, once you get that 3rd strike, you know, so you do 2 robberies and, you know, a decade later, you commit a burglary, right? You've done your time for the 2 robberies, but you picked up 2 strikes on those. You commit a burglary, get caught, and a normal burglary sentence in California would be like 6 years, give or take, right? Well, now with that 3rd strike, it's because they're serious crimes, it's 25 years to life. That's what you get, right? So he's illegally eliminated all the strike allegations, okay? When the law is clear as day that when a defendant has a prior strike conviction, the strike shall be alleged, okay? You can't just dismiss them in the interest of justice without any legal basis, and that's what he's doing, okay? So it's pretty much a blanket policy for him, and he's not taking into account the other taking into account the facts of each case. It's just nope, gone, see you later. So the 3 strikes laws, you know, but you go to San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County. I mean, I guess it's fair game, but you know, it's just inviting
for
LA
now.
County. Yeah, exactly. For now,
right. So we're seeing him eliminate a lot of things. So he's eliminated the department's ability to seek the death penalty, as well as eliminating special circumstances. Now I was reading a bunch of things that's going on. So what does that mean, bro? What is
so the lady, let me go back to the video and how we started this thing. The lady there, her name was Melissa Rodriguez. I talked to her on the phone yesterday, asked her permission to use her name and speak about minimally speak about the case. Okay, her son Joshua was murdered, brutally kidnapped, and it was a lying in wait, and it was there was 5 suspects. They were charged with murder in the commission to commit, murder in the commission of kidnapping. Right. So with that comes with, they call it LWOP, which is life without parole. All right. That was on the table. All of them have lengthy careers. Okay. Now that those special circumstances and the enhancements and everything are gone, okay, the lying in wait's gone. The murder in commission of kidnapping is gone. So it went from the life without parole case to now a 25 to life plus 7 years for kidnapping, right? So you got 32 years that they're looking at. Well, with these new, orders, and them and the district attorney's office, one not being able to, they're not allowed to go to the parole hearings. They serve 80% of 32 years for a vicious murder, with lengthy career, they're career criminals. Yeah. And these they're going to serve 80% of 32 years. Now, the best way for people to understand this stuff is when you relate it to their family. So when I've talked on, to people, when I'm, working, that's the best way I get people to understand is, well, how would you feel if this was your family? So you think, pick someone in your family right now that means something to you. They get brutally murdered, kidnapped, all that. And the people that did that are only going to get 80% of 32 years. That's the potential. That's the potential. Now, I think in 32 years, it might be as much of a dumpster fire down here that they might change some things. But right now, that's what it's looking at, is the potential for them to only have to serve 80% of 32 years. And that's that case. There's other cases. If you bring up Gregory Casillas from Pomona PD, the officer, right? He gets in a pursuit for a reckless driver, pursuit, guy footbails from the car, runs into an apartment, okay? The officers there are pleading and asking, negotiating for this guy to come out, right? 30 minutes into this standoff, he shoots through the door and kills Casillas, okay? That guy had life without parole. That suspect, I shouldn't even call him a guy. That suspect had life without parole on the table. It's gone. Now, this guy killed an officer, a police officer in the commission. He's on duty in a uniform, okay, looking at 25 years to life, but now he's parole eligible for 80%, okay? So 20 years, wow. he could do 80%. And it's I just can't even wrap my mind around it. And then the district attorneys aren't allowed to go, because they typically go to these parole hearings and they plead their case. They speak for the families, these victim advocacy or these victim impact statements. They're not allowed to go anywhere. They've been ordered. They're not allowed to go unless they're going to be in agreement with the parole to release the guy.
I don't understand that. How does that make sense?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you can look at LASD Deputy Solano, same type of thing. Okay, that guy, he was off duty, so they couldn't prove that he was a cop. He was off duty. He's the one that was shot in the back of the head at Jack in the Box. That suspect shot a professional snowboarder from Russia either before or after. I don't know the full details of it, but he had already shot someone that day, and he's parole eligible at 80%. Once for 50 years at 80%. And it's like, what? He had a life without parole case. He had a life without parole case off the table, gone, because of these new, enhancements that he's pulling away. And he's saying, no longer are we going to be doing this. I asked why. I said, well, why is this happening? And it's because, the people that are supporting him and financially backing him either think that, prison's just inhumane, and you know what? Prison's not fun. It's not cool. It's not
supposed to be.
Yeah, but exactly. I understand certain crimes shouldn't be, as serious or the time shouldn't be as difficult as it is. But these types of cases, man, when you're killing police officers that are there to, you're not only, affecting the family, you're affecting the community, you're affecting law enforcement, because now they got that doubt in their head, is like, do I want to go do this? Is it worth it? And that's a scary road to go down.
Yeah. And I mean, to top that off, he's also, they're forced to offer probation on all cases now.
That is correct.
I mean, it just seems as if every single thing that's going on out there, it's softer and weaker on criminals, which puts the general public at risk, because at the end of the day, they have a decision. Exactly. They have a decision to make. You're going to do that crime, right? Then you have to pay the time, and they're giving them get out of jail free card, literally. Right. But what does that mean? I mean, how crazy is that? So
you're absolutely correct. He has ordered prosecutors to offer probation on all cases where probation is eligible. Okay. Without the enhancements, and unless the offense calls for a life in prison, virtually all offenses are eligible for probation. Prosecutors are required to obtain approval from their boss's boss if they want to offer the lowest term for the crime. Okay.
Wow.
And there has to be compelling circumstances if they're going to do that. Okay. So that applies to first-time offenders and repeat offenders. Everyone gets probation. Okay. So let me ask you a hypothetical here real quick. And I already know the answer, but let's say someone's driving along and your family member's in the street and they get run over, right? And the person's got a prior DUI. You suspect the person's DUI, but they run the person over and they turn around, circle around. They're on camera coming back. They pull up next to the person that is, now dead, looks down, sees them, takes off. Hypothetically, what would you think that you would expect out of our criminal justice system to offer offer this person, this suspect, for a hit and run, deadly hit and run?
Yeah. And he came back and left the scene. Yeah.
I'll tell you, 3 years. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask Mr. Gascon. I was going to do a hypothetical for him and ask him. And if he said anything other than 3 years probation, which is a case that our agency just handled, he said anything other than 3 years probation, no jail time, I would have had to call him a liar, because that's his policies. They ran someone over, returned to the scene, looked at them, offered them no assistance, and fled. 3 years probation, LA County.
Wow.
So
wow. That's insane.
Yep.
That's crazy, brother. So we hear a lot of rumors. So what's his connection to George Soros? Is there a connection there? What's going on there?
You mean George, the mythical man that nobody believes in? George Soros?
Yeah, the guy that they can't talk about on mainstream media without being cut off. That guy.
Yeah. Okay. So fact. He definitely. It's in the. I want to say it's the LA Times. They documented. He supported he supported Gascon's campaign over $2 million.
Wow.
Okay. So Jackie Lacey, she's getting supported by. She's getting the backing from every single police officer association in LA County, including the deputies, the LA County deputies. We're all backing her. We can't compete with Soros money. We can't compete with the elites. We can't compete with Hollywood. And we can't compete with the politicians in Washington who tweeted out in support of Gascon. I want to say it's Biden. Don't quote me on it. I know the fact checkers will be, but there's one of them. It was either Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden. I want to say they said this election for district attorney is the most important election in the country next to the presidency. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the thing that happens from there is he puts his people in place, and then he jumps ship and goes to another. Gascon will go to another area, another county. He left behind someone that has his same philosophy in San Francisco. Comes to LA. He's going to spend some time here. I don't know if he'll leave. I don't know what his policies are going to be. But he could be trying to jump into Orange County, Riverside.
We've got to recall that guy.
Yeah, he tried San Diego and was unsuccessful. He did try. In 2018, he spent $1.5 million. This is Soros. Spent $1.5 million to try to unseat the DA that's there now and was unsuccessful. Okay. Wow. But here he is now in LA County, and Gascon is, and we're stuck, unless
and he shows up. He shows up in the veil of BLM, right? And so that was one of his things. Am I correct in that he came in talking about supporting BLM?
Yes, and I haven't gotten too in depth with that, but yes, you are absolutely correct that BLM is supporting, or he's supporting BLM. He knew how that would benefit him. I would like to see if he's now supporting them, now that he's technically won. As you can see with our president, what Biden's doing, he's not even sitting down with BLM anymore. But you're absolutely right. He was in support of them, and they had some type of relationship. There was some stuff that went on, and I got to be careful what I talk about because But so people showed up to Jackie Lacey's house that were labeled, people that wanted to speak to her, but they showed up at her house, and her husband, met them at the door, and they were agitators. They were activists, and a firearm was pulled, and someone's facing charges, and it's not anybody from the party that showed up on their doorstep. Let's just put it that way. And a lot of people, I feel that was a setup, but I mean, I don't have any facts to speak on that, but my gut feeling tells me that was definitely a setup.
See, this is why it's so important, man, that people actually do their own research, because, I tell people this all the time. I believe that Black Lives Matter, just like I believe that all lives matter. And I believe there's injustice and there's things that we have to do to educate people. And there's a lot of good-hearted, well-intending people who said, oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. But then they don't understand what's going on behind it. You know, that movement was hijacked and they've been used. And that's what I think they're seeing. I think about like Ice Cube, right? Ice Cube, he never endorsed Trump. He never endorsed either side. He just said we have to stop getting played. And then what did they do? They did the same thing. They got him in. They got supposedly got Biden into office, and now they're getting ignored again. And so now it looks as if, because nobody I know voted for this guy Gascon. Nobody. Right. So how the hell does he win? Well, it's because they play, unless they cheated, which is highly likely as well. But they play these people who have good intentions, but that just don't know any better, because it's what KTLA Morning News says to them, right? Exactly. I laugh. I'm like, if you still watch LA, local news, and you think that that's real news, you're wow. Like, I want to sell you some real estate on the moon.
Yeah. The thing with that is, when you get celebrities and professional athletes, I always bring up John Legend and LeBron. I don't know the guys. I just know that they have like 70 million followers, and I know they're not doing the research we're doing, and they're just throwing out blanket, this is the guy. If you sat down and actually debated them or had a conversation with them and said, why do you want this guy? They wouldn't have an answer for you. But they have 70 million followers that 100% don't do the same research either. And that's how their votes come in. And I don't know how to defeat that. I don't know how to combat that, but
that's why we're here, bro.
Yep. That's where we're at, man.
Because at the end of the day, I tell this to people all the time, and I'll throw it to A-Rod to close up, man. Listen, I got involved in all of this simply because I'm a dad, and I said, look, I don't know if I can change anything, but I'm going to go down swinging for my kids, because I need to be able to look them in the eye one day, and I need to be able to look God in the eye one day and say, look, I did everything I could with what you gave me, Yep.
Let me can I jump in there for give me 2 points real quick.
Absolutely.
So one thing that's not common knowledge is the bail reform. George Gascon has completely ignored it. The California voters voted that they wanted bail reform. He ignored it. He's ignoring it. Okay. So we're like, what? How does that even happen? So that might play into the recall. Is you're breaking the law, and also if these things continue, where the criminal justice system's got a full circle, right? And the victims having peace at the end of this whole process, because it's a long process for these victims and their families. If they don't feel that justice served them, they're going to start taking matters into their own hands. We're going to have vigilantism, and there's the cops are going to be stuck in the middle of it, and it's not going to be fun for us, because mentally we could be agreeing with them, but we still have to keep the peace. And that's going to come into cops versus cops saying like, hey man, that's unconstitutional what they're doing, or whatever it may be. And it has the potential to get really ugly. It really does. And
absolutely.
Lastly, before you close out, again, thank you guys for having me, man. I'm grateful just to be able to come out here and speak. I wanted to point out that either the night of that video, it was the night the video went out, Gascon's office put out an apology, and I'm going to read it. It said, while speaking to colleagues outside of the office, there were individuals yelling on opposite sides of the crowd. I did not understand what they were yelling about until later, let alone that they were victims. Regardless, it's not how I should have reacted. Clearly, this family is in pain, and I will be contacting them to speak directly and hear them out. The defendants in this case are all facing life in prison. I reached out to that mother, and as of last night, he has not reached out to them. It's lip service. It's all lip service. It's always lip service with politicians, and that's what's in office right now.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming on. A-Rod, you want to close this out, brother?
Yeah, it's liberal privilege. We understand that liberals can get away with doing whatever. And it's not like, brother, I'm inspired by you. I'm not gonna lie, inspired by your voice. I'm inspired by you standing up. It's not we the people no more, and it's so sad. It's we the Congress, we the Senate. We elect these people to go in, and I've been hearing the word say we need dragon slayers, but we're getting a bunch of mouses that are going to the table, and here at Lexit, bro. I'll be honest with you. I know we have a lot of big people that come on, like celebrities or this and that. But you know what, bro? Your voice is probably one of the most powerful voices that has come on this Lexit War Room, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you're just like us, and you're fighting for people that are voiceless.
Mm-hmm.
I have family members that have been on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I got family members that are murderers in prison. I understand. These are heartless people. These are heartless people, and I have family members that have been victims and have felt like they're just one little body or one little person right in the middle of millions of people with no voice.
Yep.
And for somebody like you to say, "Hey, check it out, we need a voice. I'm going to go to this platform, and we're here to help, bro." We understand that Latinos were at a plus 8% with Trump, and it means that they've started voting more conservatively. So we're going to use our platform to. People don't like you because let's be honest. There's some police officers we feel right now. We're like, why are you arresting us, good citizens?
Yeah.
No matter what, we're gonna back the blue. We're gonna back the blue because I'm gonna tell you what. Without morals, values, and law in this country, we don't have anything. We really don't. It'll fall. And appreciate you, brother, for coming on. Anytime you want to come back, you get some more information. The doors are wide open for you, man. You come, even if you want to just have a discussion and talk about what's going on. Let's do it any single time, man. Appreciate you coming on, Mike. And you guys, okay, go ahead, Mario.
One final thing, real quick, guys. For those of you guys that are watching right now, you're going to see it scrolling along the bottom. Please reach out if you guys love what we're doing with the movement, supporting law enforcement, going out there and pushing the Lexit movement, which is really just to help people in the Latino community see that they are conservative. And that they do love God, they love their family, they love their country, they love their police officers, they love a very small, transparent government, not a big in-your-pocket government that wants to control.
Amen to that.
And guys, guess what? We're out here. None of us get paid doing this, but we definitely want to be able to expand, especially here in California. We want to take out Gavin Newsom and now Gascon, and we want them. They're right in our line of fire. And so if you guys believe in what we're doing, you'll see the bottom there. Donate $5, $10, $100. Doesn't matter, guys. Everything goes and everything helps and become part of our partners out in the field. So we appreciate you guys. Mike, brother, thank you so much for everything you're doing, man. God bless you. And we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. I really do. Honestly, thank you.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You guys have a good one.